I just want to say a massive Happy New Year to everybody out there. From my heart to your heart, sending you lots of love. And I'm sure a lot of us have had some ups and downs and learnings in 2024 that some of it you don't want to take into 2025. I saw a great post the other day saying, make sure you have a dump before the end of the night, because you don't want to bring that into any of your own shit into 2025 as well. And joking aside, I've had some serious learnings this year in terms of different things that, we need to realize that when we go on this personal development journey, when we're going on coaching other people as well, it can be hard at times. And I find a lot of people who come to my coaching sometimes find it difficult in terms of being able to self-reflect in a state of self-awareness and have a look at themselves in terms of what is it they could self-improve on and what are those things they weren't or they were completely oblivious of beforehand. Because there are some very successful people out there that go through life and they have this amazing life in terms of money and wealth and everything like that. But deep down inside, which you never know because they hide it so well, they have this sense of unhappiness. And I think really to be able to learn things like non-attachment, not just to things, but also to people, because I think a lot of parents especially feel they own their children and they feel they need to tell their children what to do, even teenagers especially, which is the worst. But actually what we really need to remember is that when you give a teenager advice, you're actually, as they might say, adding a vice. So it's really important not to do that. And yes, you can guide them and lead them in direction, but don't tell them what to do, because a teenager will make their own mind up for themselves. So that's something that I've had to learn over the last few years. And I have to learn myself that, our kids are there to teach us as much as we are to teach them. They reflect back areas that we need to self-improve on as well. And we need to look inside ourselves instead of pointing the finger. And remember, when we do point the finger, there's three pointing back at us. So take responsibility for our own self, our own change. And it's amazing how the people around us change as well. And everybody probably this year has had some point in their life where there's been a bit of a downturn, a bit of depression, or it's been a bit of a tough time in somewhere for them. Because, the world works in ups and downs, in lefts and rights, and darkness and light. And when we go into those dark times, just reflect on them and think, okay, well, maybe I'm leveraging up for some positive times, because there is balance in this game of life that we have. And where there's darkness, there is also light. And if you look for the light within the darkness, as in the learnings within the lessons, you can sometimes come out the other side as a stronger, better version of your own self. So instead of getting wrapped up in the emotion and commotion that you might have with people and individuals, remember that one of the most important things you can do is improve your emotional intelligence, which I believe is probably the highest form of consciousness. Reason being for that, well, one, it's self-awareness, being able to look at yourself in a self-aware state and understanding, okay, where do I get triggered? How can I improve on those? And how can I be a better version of myself? Also, conscious communication, being able to communicate with other people makes things so much easier. I find quite often in business or in relationships, the one thing that causes a flaw within those is a lack of proper communication. And if you're a good leader or a good person in a relationship, you'll be much better if you're actually communicating more effectively as well. And I've, having a Polish girlfriend, there are times where obviously, English is her second language. She's phenomenal at English and speaks on stage in terms of her English. But there are times when we both get emotional, which we all do in relationships at times. Sometimes I'm as bad as well, where we need to reflect on how we communicate effectively and think outside of the box of our own perspectives and put ourselves in terms of empathy in the other person's shoes, which empathy is another part of emotional intelligence. So conscious communication is very key. And also, I believe that your word is your wand, and the sentences that you say can sometimes be the sentences you condemn yourself and others too. So speak for what you want rather than what you don't want. Because the subconscious mind, I don't believe, understands, I hope this doesn't happen. It just sees the words in between or hears the words in between. So be very effective in the words that you use to create what you want as well. Also, in terms of emotional intelligence, it's being able to self-motivate yourself, or even better, self-inspire yourself. Because motivation comes from the word motive, which is a reason, which is outside you. Whereas inspiration comes from the words in spirit, which means it comes from inside you, in a place of heart or a place of love. So if you can find your why, your sense of purpose, or whatever it is for what you do and why you do it, it gives you an extra spring in your step. Because it's amazing when you find love for what you do and love for the people you serve, you have lots of vibrant energy, an acronym for love. And I always say, in terms of finding your purpose, just have a look at yourself and write down all the things that you absolutely love doing. And it could be, sport, it could be spending time with friends, or it could be some kind of profession of some sort. And then write down all the things that you feel you're gifted at, whatever they might be, that you're good at. And then finally, write down all the things that you can think you can add value to people in some way or form. And when you find a match, it's a good, probably, direction to follow in terms of sense of purpose. Or the other thing to do is to have a look as if you were, say, like me, you were on stage, and you were put on stage at the age of like 80 or 90 or something like that. It was the end of your life. And you were given a stage in front of, say, 20,000 people. It was beamed out to 8 billion people around the planet. What would you talk about? What would you be most inspired to tell people about? What legacy would you like to leave? And when you know what that legacy is, you reflect back in terms of reverse engineering yourself back to where you are today and decide, okay, how can I get there? Who do I need to model? Who do I need to work with? What do I need to learn to be able to stand on that stage, give that speech, and leave that legacy as well? And that'll give you the good direction. Or if you're in a job where you can't really move, then have a look at the energetics of what you do and how it adds value to people in some way or form. So, for example, if you're in the investment world, like I was, you might have a look and say to yourself, okay, well, what am I actually doing? Well, the end customer who I am integrating in terms of what I do to that end customer in some way or form, whether you're the secretary or the salesman or the CEO, it doesn't matter. Your energy of the work that you put in some way affects that end granny or grandpa. And that granny or grandpa, if you have a good investment product and they're investing in it, then potentially they're going to be able to retire younger, give more to their children, buy a better retirement home, or basically have a better life. So when you can reflect in that aspect of your life, that might just help you in terms of a sense of purpose of what you do and the energetics of how you add value to people in some way or form. So as I said at the start, from my heart to your heart, a very happy new year.